What's up, guys? It's Rob here, and today we need to talk about DWAC stock because an opportunity has come to my attention to get some free value out of it. And I know that sounds crazy, but let's just take a look at the chart first of all and see what's going on with it and how this free value is actually readily available and just not too well known about, right? So first of all, you can see that this stock is already up massively. And that is off of a lot of hype. A lot of people think the company is going to do very well. A lot of people just think that this company is going to be worth a lot stock price-wise because so many people will be buying it. I'm in that boat. I'm obviously very bullish on DWAC. You can see I own 150 shares of it that I bought at an average price of $24.18. So I'm up about 7K on this trade. But that's not the free value that I'm talking about, right? The free value is actually in the form of these warrants. DWACW is the name of these warrants, and they actually trade according to the price of DWAC. You'll notice that the charts look incredibly similar, except DWAC warrants are inefficiently priced at the moment. And this was actually pointed out to me in an article by Barron's. However, it's a lengthy article. And you guys don't want to be bored with that, so I actually broke it down for you here exactly what that's all about and how there's free value in these warrants. That is not being utilized by the market, right? It's an inefficient market right now because DWAC is difficult to short for long periods of time, as was explained in Barron's, right? So these warrants are actually inefficiently priced and are providing more intrinsic value to the holders of the warrants over the long term than holders of the actual stock. So I'm going to break that down for you guys right here. So if you guys haven't heard of the warrants, well, first of all, they trade under the ticker symbol DWACW, and they might not be available on all brokerages. They are, fortunately, on TD Ameritrade, which is what I'm using. You can see I'm flipping right between the two, between DWAC and DWACW. But DWACW essentially stands for DWAC warrants, right? And warrants are similar to options, but can't be exercised until 30 days after the Trump merger deal completes. So essentially, when DWAC becomes TMTG, the new ticker symbol that is going to be given to DWAC when it actually merges with Trump Media and Technology Group, or 1 year after DWAC listed, right? So that would be sometime in September 2022, about a year after they listed. That's when these warrants would become exercisable. Now, these warrants have an exercise price of $11.50. And if you guys are familiar with options, you know what that means. You know that that means that for every warrant that you're holding, you can exercise it and buy a share of DWAC for a price of $11.50. And that actually looks very cheap looking at the price of DWAC right now, right? Because the price of DWAC as it stands is about $71 around there somewhere, so, right? So that's actually a pretty good price to be paying for DWAC. Of course, you have to buy the warrant beforehand. So we're going to talk about how this intrinsic value is actually playing out, right? So the intrinsic value of the warrants is as follows. So DWACW, the warrants, equal the price of DWAC minus $11.50, right? Because that's what you're going to have to be paying when you exercise that warrant. You have to pay $11.50 to exercise the warrant, and you can buy DWAC for that price. Now, other than that, the value of the warrant is the price of the warrant. So the warrants currently are trading for $37, whereas DWAC is trading for $72. Now let's break this down. That means that if you're trading the warrants, if you buy the warrant for $37 and then add in the price of $11.50, that's what you're going to have to pay to exchange the warrant for a share of DWAC whenever these are exchangeable. That means that the value of those two things combined would be $48.50, right? That's what you'd actually be paying to get your share of DWAC. The price of the warrant currently, which is around $37, as well as the exercise price of $11.50. That averages out, that equals about $48.50. About. This is rough math, right? So how much should the warrants actually be worth if you look at the price of DWAC, which is currently trading at $72.76. So right now, about $71 is what the price of DWAC is, subtracting the $11.50 exercise price, right? Because that's what you're going to have to pay regardless. You're going to buy the warrant and you're going to have to pay that. So we'll just take it right out of the price of DWAC. That means the warrants, if these things were efficiently priced, should be priced at $60. And normally they are. Normally they're able to be priced that way. It was explained in Barron's that the reason that arbitrageurs can't readily close the stock warrant gap is because buying the warrants and shorting the stock is normally how they do that, but there is difficulty borrowing the stock for long periods of time because of the borrowing fees. So it's unable to be done right now, right? And more people are just searching for the stock and actually buying the stock. If you look at Google Trends, you can see this red line is DWAC, people searching for DWAC. It's much higher than this blue line, which is barely even visible. So few people are searching for these warrants. And that's what DWACW is, right? The warrants. So very few people are searching for those. It's barely even a visible line. It just looks like it's the bottom of the graph. But you can see a little blip here on the first day that the warrants and DWAC really took off, right? When people really first started paying attention to them, the warrants actually were visible on this graph. You can see this little blip in the blue line. So it's only recently that people have started realizing that these warrants are not efficiently priced. So if you are interested in being a long-term stockholder in DWAC, it's possible that the warrants could be a good option. Now, obviously, this isn't financial advice. I'm not telling anyone to buy the warrants. I'm just pointing out this inefficiency in the marketplace. And if you're interested, you should obviously do your own research and figure this out for yourself. I'm just trying to break it down for you in a simple way, according to my understanding. But what I've garnered is that DWACW, the warrants, currently trade at about $37. And if the intrinsic value of them, according to DWAC's price, currently is $60, right? That's a $23 gap. So $23 worth of free value for people who are wanting to hold the warrants for a very long period of time. And I will point out one more thing to you guys, right? That the warrants, even if you're not interested in holding them over the long term, could be decent to trade because they are a bit more volatile than DWAC stocks. So if you believe in DWAC over the long term, then you could potentially be better off buying the warrants potentially, right? Because if you look, DWAC moved from $12.76 when it opened. We'll draw a line right here from $12.76 where it opened up to highs of $175, which if you look is about a 1,292% increase right there. So very large increase. However, the warrants were able to do a lot more. They started trading around $3.04 and ended up going up to heights of $79. So that's actually a 2,472% increase. So much larger, right? 2,472% versus 1,292, I believe it was, for DWAC. So the warrants are much more volatile. Obviously, there is a lot more risk with the warrants. The warrants could potentially expire worthless, though, if DWAC ends up closing below $11.50 when they expire, right? So that would be a worst case scenario for the warrant holders. That would be the scenario in which it would be better to buy DWAC, because if DWAC did close below $11.50, then the warrants actually expire worthless, since the exercise price on those warrants is $11.50. So that is a situation in which you'd be better off buying DWAC. So DWAC technically is a bit less risky. You're almost guaranteed for this thing to not go to zero. As long as the company doesn't go bankrupt, it's not going to go to zero. However, DWACW does have the potential, when these things expire, to go to zero, because if DWAC is below $11.50, then there won't actually be any value to the warrants because they have an exercise price of $11.50. So that's something to note about DWAC stock. In other words, I'm still very bullish on DWAC stock. I still think that a lot of people are trying to buy the DWAC dip. You can see that we have been consolidating and actually trending up just a little bit over the past couple of days, which is very good for the stock. I'm very bullish on it, but that is a trick that you can use if you're interested. Not financial advice. I'm not telling anyone to buy the stock, not telling anyone to buy the warrants. That's just my opinion on the stock. I think it's a very interesting play and has a lot of potential. But once again, that's just my opinion. So take that with a grain of salt, guys. And I will be covering this stock pretty much every morning in my live stream starting at 9. So feel free to subscribe to the channel and like the video if you've enjoyed this and if you like these kind of stock tips and tricks. But other than that, guys, have a great day. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.